Alright, today we're going to talk about the basics of exponents. And you should be familiar with exponents already, so let's just dive right in. So let's say I have this expression here, 5 to the second power. What does that mean? Right? Well, that means I'm going to be multiplying 5 times itself. Right? Let's go over some vocabulary. Right? When I write this 5 to the second power, and you may also know that that can also be said as 5 squared. Right? This number here, that's what we call the base. And then this number, that's what we call the exponent. Okay? So if I had something like this, 8 to the third power, right, which is also known as 8 cubed, right, what does that mean? That means I'm going to have 8 times 8 times 8. Right? So the base is being multiplied, right, times itself. And what this 3 means is that we have 3 factors of 8. Right? We can call each of these a factor. Right? So this is 512. Right? But I also want to say that each one of these things, right, are called factors. Okay. All right, let's look at one other basic one. So if I had this 2 to the 6th power, right, what does that mean? That means I'm going to have 6 factors of 2 that are being multiplied. Right? So this means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Right? And if you were to multiply that all out, you get 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32, times 2 is 64. Okay? So, pretty simple, but you gotta just remember the terms. What this 6 means, again, is that there are 6 factors. Right? These are all called factors. 6 factors of 2 that are being multiplied. Alright, 3 simple problems. Go ahead and multiply these out. Pause and answer these. Alright, let's see what you got. You should have 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. 5, you should have 4 factors of 3 being multiplied. So this is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. That's 81. And number 6, you should have 6 fifths times 6 fifths times 6 fifths. Right? So just because it's a fraction doesn't mean it's any different. All this means is that we're going to have 3 factors of 6 fifths. 6 fifths being multiplied times itself. Right? There are 3 of those that are being multiplied. Right? What's that equal to? That's 216 divided by 125. Alright? I want you to do 2 other ones here. 3/7 cubed and 80 times 1/2 to the third power. Pause and evaluate these. Welcome back. Here's what you should have. 3/7 cubed, what does that mean? That means we have 3 factors of 3/7. So 3/7 times 3/7 times 3/7, that should be 27 over 343. What does this one mean? 80 times 1/2 cubed. Well, that means 80 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Right? And it doesn't matter what order that you multiply these in. 80 times 1/2 is 40, times 1/2 is 20, times 1/2 is 10. Or you could think of it this way. This is 80 times 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/8. And then 80 times 1/8 is 10. Alright, let's talk about negatives. Negatives can be one thing that gets confusing with exponents. Right? So let's think about what these mean. If I have -5, the quantity -5 squared, this means -5 times -5. Right? I have 2 factors of -5. Right? So -5 times -5 is positive 25. Well, what if I wrote it this way? Right? What is this saying? This is saying the opposite of 5 squared. So this is saying we're going to do 5 times 5 first, and then I want to take the opposite afterwards. Right? Well, 5 times 5 is 25, and then I have the opposite of that, so that would be -25. Go ahead and evaluate these, see what you get. Pause and do that, please. Here's what you should have gotten. All right, -2 cubed. This means -2 times -2 times -2. Right? Well, -2 times -2 is 4, and then 4 times -2 is -8. 12. This one says the opposite of negative 3 to the fourth power. So what does that mean? That means I'm going to do negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, and then I have the opposite of all that. Okay, so this is going to be the opposite of, and let's do these. These multiply to get positive 9. These multiply to get positive 9. And 9 times 9 is 81. So it's the opposite of 81, which is negative 81. Right? Not hard, but you just have to be careful with your negatives. All right, this one tends to trick people. Right? What does this mean? Right? This actually means the same thing as this. The opposite of 5 squared. So I would do 5 times 5 first. Right? Or maybe I should put these in parentheses so you can see easier. So it's 5 times 5 first, and then the opposite of that. So this would be 25, the opposite of 25. Okay? We tend not to use this notation too much because it's a little confusing. But if you see it written like this, again, this means the opposite of 5 squared. So you would do the 5 squared first, and then the opposite of that. Okay, last couple. I want you to pause and see if you can calculate these, and make sure you understand the difference between these. Pause and do that. Welcome back. Here's what you should get. The quantity negative 7 squared. This means negative 7 times negative 7, which is positive 49. 15. This means 7 times 7 first, and we would take the opposite of that. 7 times 7 is 49, and then the opposite would be negative 49. 16. We would do negative 7 times negative 7 first, and then again we have the opposite of that. So this would be 49. The opposite of that is negative 49. Last one, 17. This is saying the opposite of 7 squared. So this means the same thing as if I had written this, the opposite of 7 squared. So we would do 7 times 7 first, and then the opposite of that. Okay, so this would be 49 with a negative, or negative 49.